and at the same time, Zarine एक एजुकेशनल एंड एम्पावरमेंट एक्टिविस्ट है फॉर ग्रास रूट ऑफ गर्ल्स एंड ये 10 सालों से काम कर रही हैं इन द फील्ड इन द जेंडर जस्टिस इन इंडिया, होंडुरास एंड द यूएसए. So, hey Zarine.
Hello.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Navish?
I'm also good. Thank you so much for joining us because I have seen your YouTube videos and you have explained everything so amazingly, so beautifully. I became your fan, and
Thank you.
and that's why I've invited you to talk about it. So you please introduce yourself more because whatever I'll say that would be very less from my side, and yeah, so just let me know, let us people know who are watching us about you and the work you're doing in the field of menstruation.
Okay, so my name is Zarine. I'm from the US, and for the last 10 years now, I've been doing a lot of work in the field of girls' empowerment. And so for me, a big part of that is also helping girls understand their body, part of which is understanding the menstrual cycle. And not just understanding, but learning to accept and really love that part of themselves. I think it's so many girls feel shame about their bodies for so many different reasons. And menstruation is just another one of those reasons where, I mean, if we're talking about menstruation, we're talking about parts of the body that people are afraid to say the names of. We can talk about our hands and our nose and our feet, but everyone is afraid to say uterus or vagina or anything like that. So something we can't even talk about because, you know, just the word makes us feel shy or ashamed. So recently, I am now working with Study Hall Educational Foundation in Lucknow, and we are currently running a campaign around this, and we're working with boys and girls both to educate them and just really emphasize the fact that this is something natural, this is nothing dirty, this is nothing to be ashamed of. And that, you know, that this is a new attitude that we need to adopt. There's nothing wrong with periods. There's nothing wrong with menstruating. And there's nothing wrong with people who menstruate either. So that's kind of the message that we are trying to promote. And then the children we work with actually are going home and having these conversations with their families, with their parents, with their communities to try and spread that message further.
Yeah. So, so if we talk about the body, the mostly female body, and the person who are going through that surgeries to the trans men, just we have one speaker also. So how do you explain the biology of menstruation in the body when it comes? We see that women and the person go through the PMS, premenstrual syndrome, premenstrual dysphoria disorder, menopause, early menopause, pregnancy. The number of things are in the queue. So how would you explain that menstruation with the body?
So basically, the whole cycle is controlled by different levels of hormones. So if we start from the beginning, usually the first day of the cycle is the first day of menstruation. And that is actually when all of the hormone levels like progesterone, estrogen, kind of drop back down to normal. So I've made here a little drawing of a uterus and ovaries. So if we think about from that point, we have menstruation from day 1 to maybe 4, 5, 6, 7. Everyone's body is different. And at that point, we start to see an increase in the amount of estrogen, one of the hormones in our body. And that hormone is basically what helps to stimulate ovulation. So here in the ovary, there is an egg that's forming, that's maturing. And, about usually somewhere in the first 2 to 3 weeks of the cycle, everyone's cycle is a little bit different. So depending on how long it is, but let's say around anywhere from day 12 to day 18, the egg will mature and eventually it will be released. So then the egg will travel up and it will travel around. And if the egg is not fertilized, then it disappears. But the lining of the uterus will develop because it's not sure yet if the egg has been fertilized.
Yeah, yeah.
So it will continue to develop and make like a cushion, sort of like a just in case if there is a baby, so we'll be ready. And so at that point, another hormone takes over and makes this really strong and stable just in case. And that's progesterone. So then about 2 weeks after the egg is released, if there is no baby there, then the body says, okay, we don't need to hold on to this any longer. We can let it go. And that's when you get menstruation.
So, Zarine, there is some technical issue. Give me some seconds. I'm coming back. Okay, I'm just
Okay.
facing some technical. I'm so sorry. There is some technical issues which I couldn't handle. That's why I have to finish that live video. I'm just coming live again with the Zarine. She was the last speaker. I'm so sorry. I have sent the request to her and she will join it again. So it was a information when she was providing us about how the biology of that body of menstruating person affects us. So let her connect it and so that we can have more conversation. I'm so sorry that video got paused. Waiting for her. So meanwhile, I was about to. So there was some myths I was talking. I will talk about. I was thinking to just finish it later, but I will just talk about early until Zarine connects with us. So so if a period has missed, it means woman is pregnant. It's a myth. जरूरी नहीं है कि पीरियड मिस हो गया है तो औरत प्रेग्नेंट है. पीरियड मिस होने के और भी रीजन हो सकते हैं, स्ट्रेस, खराब डाइट और हार्मोनल चेंजेस. ठीक है, तो जरूरी नहीं है कि ये पीरियड मिस हो गया तो औरत प्रेग्नेंट हो. नेक्स्ट, पीरियड्स के दौरान महिलाएं अशुद्ध हो जाती हैं. ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होता. ये एक नेचुरल प्रोसेस है जिसमें अनफर्टिलाइज्ड एग बॉडी से बाहर निकल जाता है. Welcome again, Zarine. I'm so sorry for the.
Thank you. No problem.
Yeah. So I was meanwhile you're connecting. I was explaining audience about the myths and the realities of the menstruation. So there is a myth in India that during periods a woman should not go in temples or in kitchen. So there's again it's a myth, and it has nothing to do with the purity and dirtiness. So they couldn't make it impure to that places. Okay, there is again myth, menstruating women should not bath with lukewarm water. So it's nothing to do with that. Even we must bath during menstruation by lukewarm water, which will relax our muscles, right? And it can loosen our body and release our pain. There is a myth, menstruating women should not exercise. So if there is no big problem, so exercise can be done by the menstruating women, so that they can muscles can get more oxygen, right? So there is a myth again in India that if there is a pickle, if a menstruating woman will touch that pickle would be tasteless and it would be that wouldn't be, that person would not be able to eat. So again it's a myth. Periods are the very natural process as we are sweating. So the women are menstruate. So by touching something, it won't make them anything. They don't make it dirty. So come to you again. So we were talking about the biology of menstruation in the body. So you have worked with the various. You are working in this field for the last 10 years. So I've seen your video on YouTube. You have also guided how to make pads at home. So I wanted to know, as we are in the whole world, the earth is under lockdown and quarantine. So, and in there is a number of places where we have found that there's a lack of pads were there. People couldn't uh, means they couldn't find at their medical shops. So how can we make pads at home, and is it safe?
So first, I would like to say it is 100% safe. I think um, cloths and cloth pads get a bad reputation, but for the wrong reason. So everyone now seems to associate cloth with infection, but the problem is not the cloth itself, it's the stigma that prevents women from washing and drying the cloth properly. Because in order to use cloth safely, you do need to wash it well and you do need to put it in the sun to dry. So I have here with me actually an example of a cloth pad that I have sewed at home. And I have made this with my old clothes. So the front part is an old t-shirt and the back is from an old pant. And on the inside, again, I have just a piece of t-shirt, which I folded up into different layers.
Wow.
And you to put inside. Yeah. So it's really quite simple. The main thing is, getting your pattern, the size that you like, the shape that you like, finding some cloth that you like that's soft and absorbent. For kind of the full process, there's our channel, which is called Pad and Practice. The videos there, I think Sanya is sharing the link. Thank you. And made on a paper.
Then, I'll stop you for a moment. There is some network issue again from your side, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, now you're audible. Yeah.
Okay. As I was saying, basically, you can kind of play around with it. I can also share some patterns that I have put together and shared with the girls here. Is the audio coming through?
Yeah, so audio is we can hear you, but this little bit of fluctuations are there.
Okay. Let me just see if I can go somewhere a little bit better. Yeah. Maybe this might help. So I was saying that it's if you make it at home, it's quite simple. If you have to look at first, what size, what shape do you want? Like I said, I can certainly share some patterns that I have put together, but I think it's really a chance for, someone who's going to use it to also experiment and see what works best for them, what's most comfortable for them. I would say the most important thing to think about is which cloth you're going to use. Cotton, of course, is best because it's natural. This is also, I think, one of the bigger reasons even to use cloth pads is many of the disposable pads are so full of plastic and chemicals that I feel should not be in contact with such sensitive parts of our body that can't be good for us. So, choosing something that's soft, that's comfortable, that's absorbent. For the middle part, you can even use something like a piece of towel and fold it up, and that, you won't need quite as many layers. So you can kind of play around with the size, play around with what's most comfortable for you. And, depending on how heavy or light your menstrual flow is, so you can figure out how many layers do you need. And things like that. And as I said before, the most important part of using cloth is, of course, washing it properly and drying it properly. And the biggest part of that is letting it dry in the sun to make sure that you don't get any infections.
Yeah, so many people has asked for your YouTube channel in the comments, and Sanya has replied as well. So we just once you can tell the name of your YouTube channel so the audience can hear and they will just follow it and subscribe it maybe.
So the channel is called Pad and Prejudice.
Okay, cool. So anything else you wanted to add about your experience of menstruation, the work you're doing in India, especially because there are more prejudices, more stigmas you'll find. You must have seen, you have experienced it. Can you share it with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, in many of the sessions that I've taken with girls here, the biggest barrier is really just that shyness, that timidness. When you bring up the topic, you can see them all shrinking, like they wish they could disappear. Like, please don't make me talk about this. So, I feel really strongly that we need to make this something that's very normal to talk about. The way we talk about, I'm feeling hungry, what am I having for dinner or for lunch? We should be able to have these conversations, and we should not talk about our bodies or the processes that our bodies have with any sort of shame. And just really emphasizing again the fact that this is natural. Like I said, this is all controlled by hormones in our bodies, and honestly, none of us would be here if it weren't for this process. We're all a product of menstrual blood, so to speak.
True.
So
Thank you so much, Zarine, for connecting with us and sharing your experience. You have shared that's yeah. The most important thing was pads can be made at home. The only thing is we have to clean it properly and dry it properly. So it is totally safe. There is nothing wrong in doing it at home, and especially when we are
correct.
down. Yeah. So we can make it at our home and we can use it, right? Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and for hosting this.
And thank you so much. We'll connect more in future for more such session and workshops if we able to make it possible after lockdown also. So thank you so much for connecting with us, and it's really really pleasing to have you on this discussion.
Great. Thank you so much, Nevish.
Thank you so much, Zari. So I was talking about the myths and the reality. So before ending the session, I would also like to add something. What a woman or a person who is having the menstruation cycle, what they can eat. As Aradhana also has said in her session that teen rango ki thali, the three colors on the plate. So that's important. So apart from that, chocolates, you can have chocolates. It's easily available, and what we find in chocolates are magnesium and endorphins. What they will do, they will chocolates also gives us caffeine and iron, which reduce the pain during menstruation, and we'll get energy as well at the same time. Green vegetables, स्पेशली जब हम हरी सब्जियों की बात करते हैं तो ब्रोकली देन पत्ता गोभी कद्दू whatever any green vegetables which we are going to have, they have iron, magnesium and number of minerals and vitamins which uh, decrease the lackness of the blood, so that increases our blood as well. Banana is very important. Menstruation person should eat 2 to 3 bananas in a day, as it gives potassium and magnesium which releases the pain which you are having. And then papaya, and we can have 4 to 5 slices of papaya in a day during menstruation, which has carotene, iron, magnesium and calcium and other vitamins, which again strength gives strength to us. Ginger, we can have ginger tea or simple ginger drink, which has antibacterial elements, which again gives us strength and remove our weakness during the menstruation. So these are the fruits and things which can be easily find, and we can have it during menstruation. And thank you so much, audience, and thank you so much for all the speakers who has kept patient through the entire session and have that. And we have to break this stereotype. We have to talk about number of things. If you have any queries and question, you can talk to the speakers directly. They have their Instagram IDs. We have tagged them in the post which you have posted before that session. So thank you so much. We must talk about that. We must break the stigma. We must talk about it, and we should talk about it. Thank you so much. Shubh Ratri. Good night.